Mhm.
tell me that I had it all together and that they wanted to be like me and they've admired me and all of that. I said, first of all, you need to find another role model because this ain't it. But what she didn't know is that I was struggling inward. And I'm not going to go into this conversation and get emotional, but I had just lost my home in Hurricane Helene and almost everything I owned. And yes, I turned around and started renting a townhouse and started trying to slowly rebuild my life. On the outside, it looked like I had it all together. On the inside, I was not okay. I was not okay. But I had to dig deep because I knew I was resilient, right? I've conquered a lot in my life. I had to dig deep and I got to work because I knew what was going to make me happy, make me feel safe and secure. And so I started working and moving toward that. So these people out here that you think are happy or beautiful and things like that, you don't really truly know what's going on in their life. Don't envy anyone else's life. Look at your own and build what you want. Create the life that you want. You have the power to reset and reinvent.
Hi, I'm Helen Blocker Adams, host of Reset to Reinvent podcast.
And I'm Vanessa, CEO of Talent Connect.
We have connected our talent as women entrepreneurs, and I am pleased to announce Talent Connect as a founding sponsor for our popular podcast.
For any of your staffing, payroll, or other business services needs, be sure to check out our website at talentconnectga.net. That's talentconnectga.net.
And don't forget to subscribe to our popular YouTube channel, Reset to Reinvent YouTube channel. Yes, he's coming. He's coming to the home of James Brown. Yes, he is. David Shands, also known as the King of Podcasting, is coming to the AUG, and you want to be there. Not only is he coming, he is bringing Donnie Wiggins with him. Check out Social Proof Podcasts. Oh, you've seen them. Yes, you have. And they're going to be right here in Augusta, Georgia. When? Thursday, April 23rd. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a free event. You need to go ahead and scan this QR code. Get your seat registered right now. Limited VIP tickets are available, and limited vendor and sponsorships are available as well. Oh my goodness. We're so excited. We are so excited about having David Shands here in Augusta, Georgia, the home of James Brown. So you want to be there? It's a free event. We'll see you there. Hello, and welcome to Reset to Reinvent podcast, episode 55. I tell you what, we are rocking and rolling this month of March, Women's History Month. We have had some absolutely incredible guests this month. And as we wrap up, this is the last Monday of the month of March, Women's History Month. And you know how you like to say, we're saving the best for last. So I guess that's what we're going to say is this is saving the best for last. We're so excited about this young lady that's joining us today. She and I met maybe no more than 4 or 5 months ago. And it was through a mutual friend of my producer, as a matter of fact. And then we met, we started talking, and we connected, and hey, the rest is history. And you're going to see and hear in just a few moments why this lady is just so special to me. So Vanessa Delgado, thank you so much for joining Reset to Reinvent podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So let me ask you this. I'm just going to just throw this out here. A lot of times I will ask my guests, when you think of the term reset to reinvent, what comes to your mind and what's so exciting is a lot of times I'll have guests and they may have seen maybe like one episode, but you and your staff, you and your team, you guys have watched multiple episodes. So you kind of know my style and the type of guests, and then some of my solos. Okay. So when you think about reset to reinvent, what comes to your mind, Vanessa?
Well, those two words I think are really strong. When I think of reset to reinvent, not just your podcast, but truly what those two words mean is that at any point in your life, it's okay to start over, to go toward that goal that maybe you hung up, as a teenager in your early 20s that you had to put on pause or hold because of life, that it's okay that even if you're 40, 50, 60, it's okay to truly reset and reinvent yourself. Who makes the rules? You're allowed to do that.
That who makes the rules? Exactly. Exactly. So, Vanessa, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Vanessa? And tell us your story.
Oh, wow. Where should I start? I am I am a army brat, so that's one of the big things when people ask, where are you from? Where did you grow up? A little bit of everywhere. Any army brats can relate. We're from anywhere and everywhere, and nowhere all at the same time. But I've been in Augusta a little over 20 years now. This is definitely home. Um, I have seen different phases of my life, unfold since I've lived here. I've been here since right after I graduated high school, so I'm aging myself if people do the math on that. But yes, I am. I'm a girl's girl. I am a champion for the underdog. I am a people person. I'm a musician. Just thinking of some
What
words that come
instrument
out.
do you play?
I play a few. The piano is my main instrument, but I also dabble, yeah, in saxophone, guitar, clarinet, violin, trumpet, mandolin, very, very little. Um, and they say I can sing. That's what I've been told, but I don't know that I agree with that. But that's just to name a few. So
Mm.
definitely creative. That's definitely how my brain works. And now business owner to add on top of all that.
And the business is, tell us about your business, and then we're going to go.
Okay, okay. We are Talent Connect. So I am the CEO and founder of Talent Connect. We are a full service workforce solutions firm. And I say full service because we offer a plethora of services for businesses. And then we also have services for job seekers as well.
What made you decide to start that type of a business?
Just being passionate about people, just believing in people getting opportunities, second chances, things like that. I kind of fell into this by accident with friends that own businesses saying, it's what's the old saying? It's hard to find good help, these days and things like that. And I had one specific friend. He was like, I cannot keep, staff on. They'll come for a week and then just stop showing up. And I said, I can find you somebody. And he's like, I'd like to see you try. Well, I love a challenge. So I did, and that person is still employed with him years later, one of his best employees.
Wow.
And he said, "You're good at this. You should think about doing this for a living." So, um, kind of sat on it. Was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that, And then just as time went by, just felt like I was called to do this. So I just took a leap of faith and said, "All right, let's do it." So we're all in.
Vanessa, do you have any siblings? Uh, yeah, siblings or
Yeah.
children? And
Absolutely. So I have a brother and a sister, and I have a one child. I say one child. He's four-legged with a tail and fur, but his name is Dudley. That is my child. He's not a dog. He's my child.
okay, so what kind of child is he?
He's a pit mixed with a dash hound, believe it or not. So he's very
Oh,
muscular, like you would expect a pit to be. But then he has the short dash hound legs and the long dash hound, people call him the hot dog body. But imagine that on a muscular pit frame. So everywhere we go, everybody's asking, what is he?
yeah, I bet. So speaking of muscular, there was something that you did, less than a month ago,
Yes.
that you have got to share, and you got to tell me what in the world. I mean, lifting. I mean, how many pounds was that? You this lady here, what strength powerlifting,
Mhm.
a
Powerlifting.
woman, what made you do that? How did you train for that? Come on, you got to tell us.
Well,
That was amazing because
thank you.
I saw the images on Facebook.
Yes. Yes, thank you. It started actually about 2 years ago, not the powerlifting directly, but my weight loss journey. Um, I had to face some hard realizations with my health and things like that that resulted in me really changing my mindset about my health. I think when you're younger, you feel invincible, right? You like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not sick. Nothing's going to happen. But when you start to get older and things start to catch up with you, you start to realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should take better care of myself. So lost a little over 100 pounds and started enjoying the gym. Never thought I'd be that person. But gym actually started being like a source of therapy for me. And in the gym, I think everybody who are true gym rats, as they like to say, they find their thing in the gym that they like. Everybody kind of has their thing that's like, that
Okay.
they really enjoy. And I found that lifting heavy stuff is what I enjoy. So
Oh,
I
so
started
okay, so that
powerlifting.
explains the couch up 2 flights of stairs.
Yeah, my assistant Sabrina and I carried a couch by ourselves up 2 flights of stairs to our new office location. Yeah, I had to put those skills to work in real life. Yeah.
So okay, so you develop a love, if you will, over the past 2 years. Now, tell me about the weight loss and even before that. How did you get to that point? You know, a lot of times people is stress and different things going on in their life, and before you know it, you look in the mirror and you're like, "Oh my gosh, how did I get here?"
Right, right. So for sure, mine was definitely not the normal. I shouldn't say normal because I think more people than we realize deal with this, but people will say, "Oh, just eat less and move more." Sometimes it's not quite that simple. So I had to really come to grips that it starts up here. Um, people say, "Oh, this person's an alcoholic or this person's a drug addict." A lot of times there's a backstory of why they became that way. Nobody wakes up and says, "Hey, I want to be an alcoholic," or "I want to be a drug addict," or "I want to be overweight." No one wakes up and just wants that. So I had to realize that food was my vice. That was what I used as a coping mechanism. And once I switched that flipped that switch in my mind, in my brain, and realized that that's where the core of the issue was, the root of the problem, that's when things started to change for me. So I feel like even in that way, I've been in the gym and I've seen people who are, really overweight and they're in there and you can tell they're looking around, they feel like they don't belong. I make it my mission, especially when I see women, not to counsel out our guys,
Yeah,
but just being a woman to a woman. When I see that, I make it my business to go over there and encourage them and show them my before pictures and let them know you belong here.
yeah.
Nobody's watching you like you think they are. Like, you can do this. If I can come from where I came from to where I am now to actually being in a powerlifting competition, you can do it. So I try to be an encouragement to others.
Well, that's amazing. Now you mentioned coping mechanism. So what was going on to even stimulate this coping? What were you coping with?
I think just life in general, and I've always been someone that's not a great fan of change, especially when I was younger. Military life, right? You move a lot, and there's a lot of changes. You're always the new kid. You're always meeting new friends. Family issues and divorce and things like that. I wouldn't say it was one thing. I just think that that was just my comfort, and that's what I turned to. So just learning that, hey, when you have the bad days, like now I find myself, if I am feeling down, I go to the gym, throw some weights around, and I feel better. And I still, even just saying that to you, I can't believe I'm that person. I'm like, when did that happen?
That's very inspiring. You're right. Because there's something about ice cream and um, chocolate, and it just makes you feel good,
Or
you
just good
know?
old Southern, we're down here in the South. We love us some
Yeah,
comfort food, that's just kind
yeah.
of part of our heritage too. And it's okay to have those things, but you have to have balance and it can't be a crutch, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right. So how did you do in that powerlifting exhibit that you were involved with a few weeks ago?
Yes, I landed in first place for my division for
Woo,
my age bracket,
congratulations.
my age bracket in class. So for a first timer, I was pretty proud of myself. There were some really amazing, powerful women there that have given me now watching them a goal to move toward for the next one, which is May 16th. So I'll be lifting even heavier in that one, if possible. But yeah, for my bracket, it was first place.
And you had a support, you had a cheering squad and everything there,
My
didn't you?
whole team showed out. Yes, the whole team came out and screamed and made all the noise, and I loved every minute of it.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Your your path to where you are now from the a career perspective. You've had some bumps along the way, and I want to talk about those.
Yeah, absolutely. I started off my career, I'll say, when I was younger, in my 20s, teaching. Always had a heart for children. Started teaching in the private school system. Well, not school system, but started teaching on at a private school. Moved forward to working for the school system. And then just let me see how to put this, was discouraged, right, by the limitations that started, being placed on teachers, the Common Core curriculum and things like that, where you had to teach a certain way at a certain time on a certain day so that everybody's on the same track. And I understand the principle behind that, but also knowing the way I taught, just felt like my hands were kind of tied in a way. If my kids were advancing quicker, I couldn't move with them because we had to adhere to this certain curriculum and the way it was laid out so that everybody on that curriculum was doing the same thing on March 6th 17th or whatever it is. So start looking for other things. And after I left the board, it was just like, wow, all I've known my whole adult life is kids, and had
Mhm.
never really dipped my toe into like the corporate world. And actually here it's funny because of what I do at Talent Connect. They're actually a competitor, but I've told them directly I attribute my success to them. I walked into Augusta Staffing one day and I told Robert Kelly, I said, "Hey, this is my resume. This is all I've ever done." But I literally told, I was like, "I'm really smart and I can learn anything you put in front of me if I'm given a chance." So he made a call to the city of Augusta. They ended up hiring me on permanently. I kind of moved up the ranks with that, moved departments, moved positions, moved up, worked in Columbia County for a bit, then pivoted to payroll by accident.
How about that?
Yeah, to make a long story short, worked in payroll from home after COVID for several years. But it the jobs were fine, but I never felt like I was walking in my purpose. It was a job, but it didn't feel like my calling, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people would say, "Oh, you're really good at this," and da 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 da. But I knew I wanted something more, and I knew I wasn't going to be happy until I did that. So I
At
pursued.
that time, did you know what it was that would have made you happier, or
I
was it
didn't
something that
know.
you were still trying to find your way?
Yeah, so I didn't know exactly what it would be. I did know that I wanted to work for myself. Being a
Okay.
creative, we like to color outside the lines. We like to, think outside of the
Color
box.
outside the lines. Oh no, 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 no. I like to be in the
Are you one of
lines,
those?
but I'm
Sometimes you just gotta let it
creative.
be free
But
and just go with how you feel.
no, I don't want to be outside the lines.
Type B. So I'm very like, I'm organized when I need to be, but a very creative, always open to new ideas of how to do things better, bigger. Sometimes you have to, go with the twists and turns with things like that, which is funny as someone who doesn't typically like change for me to be so fluid when it comes to like my work and my business to be able to
Right.
adapt to things. I think maybe because I'm more in control of those changes that I'm okay with them. That may be another topic for another day, but I did not know what it was going to be for sure until, like I said, I had those couple of friends that I just kind of by accident started staffing for. Now, granted, I had some experience in HR with some of my other roles that I had, so it wasn't a new concept to me. Like I've had the experience, but doing it from scratch for myself
Mm.
was different. And I found I really enjoyed it. It allows me to connect with people. It allows me to connect people. So it allows me to connect with people, but also connect people.
Right.
So I try to be really cognizant of, when if I'm staffing for someone, I'm not just looking at, oh, their skill sets match or their certifications match. I also look at personality fits as well. I look at the
Mm.
organization's, their environment. And, I try to, and you don't know anybody, just off of a couple calls or visits and things like that. But I do my best to try to pair not just to get business from businesses, but to truly place a potential candidate somewhere where they're going to feel fulfilled and they're going to feel happy and they're going to feel like they can flex those muscles that
Right.
really show off their skills, not just another job like what I had. I want them to truly feel like they're in their calling. So
So you're talking about getting into their head space to help them from a professional development perspective too. That's what it
absolutely.
sounds like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's some of the services we offer, career coaching, where it's not just, oh, you have experience in this and this will be a good job for you. Just because you have experience in that, just like I have experience in a lot of things, that may not be what you're passionate about. So one of the big questions I stop and ask when a candidate comes up and they're showing me their resume and they're showing me all of this, I'm like, this is great, but what are you passionate about? And they always kind of like they've never heard that in an interview, and I'm like, what are you passionate about? And you'd be surprised. Some people will say, well, I've been in this line of work for years because I started this when I was in my 20s, but what I really want to do is, and they'll move into that. So I try to see where I can pair their strengths, their skills with what they're passionate about and find truly the role for them.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Now, for someone who's watching and listening, it just sounds like you have had a perfect life.
Nobody
Okay,
has.
and from high school to um, the weight, losing the weight. How would you help a person that may be dealing with self-esteem, um, definitely when it comes to weight? I mean, that's a big deal. That's why, January, you got all of these different Planet Fitness and all the rest of them. That's, they make so much money in January and February, and then,
Yes,
people peter
for
off.
sure. The
So,
gyms are packed. Yeah.
weight, self-care, wellness, all of those are big, big deals when it
For sure.
comes to the mindset, because you got to be
Mhm.
in the right headspace. So, what kind of advice would you give to someone, whether they're dealing with health issues, weight loss issues, based on your experience?
I think the first step is learn yourself, right? I feel like we walk through life looking at others, looking at other situations, looking at what we think success looks like, what we look at what we think pretty looks like, what we think happy looks like. But instead of looking at other people, look in the mirror because those stereotypes, or I don't, maybe stereotypes is not the right word, but the models that you're looking at, that you look at someone, you say, oh, she's successful, or she's happy, or she's pretty, or she's in shape. You don't truly know what that person's life is like. So you can't model yourself by looking at others. You have to look inward and truly have a heart to heart talk with yourself and see what will make you happy. What is your goal weight? What do you want to look like? Not what society tells you should look like, but think back of a time of when you felt your best about yourself. When you looked in the mirror and you felt good. Was it when you were 16? Well, what did you look like when you were 16? You know, what were you an athlete in school when you felt your best? Then your
Mm,
body may crave that physical activity. You've just kind of forgotten how to do it as an adult because of life. Um,
right.
when did you feel secure? Is it when you had a really good job that was paying a lot of money, or were you making okay money, but you weren't in any debt? Look back at those markers across your life and see when you were the happiest and set that as your goal instead of somebody else's. Case in point, I had someone early last year,
Mhm.
tell me that I had it all together and that they wanted to be like me and they've admired me and all of that. I said, first of all, you need to find another role model because this ain't it. But what she didn't know is that I was struggling inward. And I'm not going to go into this conversation and get emotional, but I had just lost my home in Hurricane Helene and almost everything I owned. And yes, I turned around and started renting a townhouse and started trying to slowly rebuild my life. On the outside, it looked like I had it all together. On the inside, I was not okay. I was not okay. But I had to dig deep because I knew I was resilient, right? I've conquered a lot in my life. I had to dig deep and I got to work because I knew what was going to make me happy, make me feel safe and secure. And so I started working and moving toward that. So these people out here that you think are happy or beautiful and things like that, you don't really truly know what's going on in their life. Don't envy anyone else's life. Look at your own and build what you want. Create the life that you want. You have the power to reset and reinvent.
Tell us about your recovery from the hurricane. Are you still in the process of getting your home either repaired or rebuilt? How? Tell us, because that's been what, 2 years now,
It's been about a year and a half, yeah,
year
or
and a
close
half.
to it. September 2024. The
Okay.
last week of September 2024 is when it happened. My
Were
home
you
is
home at the time?
I was not, thankfully.
Oh,
Was
geez.
not.
Okay.
My home is being rebuilt. It is slated to be complete in June, so I'm very excited about that.
Now,
It was a
have you
trying
been involved with the process of, okay,
every step of
all
the
right,
way.
I want this here, I want this. Oh,
Every step of the way. We're right smack dab in the middle of it now. So walls should be going up hopefully in the next couple weeks. The framing is all done, and a lot of the other trades and things like that are wrapping up. So really excited. That is something, as someone who craves stability, my home has always been my safe place.
yeah,
And that also kind of it changed something in me in a good way because I relied on, and it seems silly, right? But I relied on that house and looking around at all of the things that I've built right through my life and that I've accumulated and this whole life that I've surrounded myself with.
mm,
And in one night felt like it was all stripped away from me.
mm, mm, mm.
And people may say, oh, it's just things. Yeah, but when you worked for everything that you have from the ground up,
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot. And it took me a while to kind of process those things. But I will say that now I truly look at things, they're just things.
right,
They're just things. And you can't make anything your safety net, you know? And I know some people have different viewpoints on what I'm about to say, but I'm a Christian. And this experience, I've always been, close with God and believed in Him and believe everything happens for a reason. But I'm not going to get emotional. I had to be stripped down to nothing to truly just rely on Him
mm. And you're a better person.
for
You're
sure.
stronger, mentally,
Hmm.
physically, um, in ways that you never even, that's amazing how God works.
I never knew I had that kind of strength. Like I just didn't know that I'd be able to withstand like, all of that was going on.
Wow. Wow. So now you got in June going to be have a brand new home,
Yep.
and like you said, your appreciation, and that's still going to be your safe place, but the
Reliance
mindset is
on it
going to be different in terms of the
for sure.
things that you've been able to accumulate. But now it's a whole lot of new accumulation of things,
Right.
which is going to be fun in terms of going to the furniture stores and getting this and getting that. Yeah,
I'm definitely
yeah.
looking forward to it.
Wow, wow, that is amazing. So Vanessa, okay, you've gone through and you're still standing. You have had a uh now you started your business when?
So officially started it the January after the storm. Crazy, right? So in the midst of all of that, dealing with insurance and contractors and trying to rebuild my home, I just felt like it was the time to do it. Like I just felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I was just crazy enough to be delusional enough to believe I could do it. So why not throw one more thing into the mix? It was already chaotic, so what's one more thing?
What's one more thing? Okay. All right. And the other part of it though, this is something that you enjoy, something that you makes you feel good.
It does.
So
Feel
when
fulfilled.
something makes you feel good from this standpoint, it doesn't feel like it's a job, even though, as entrepreneurs we put in lots of hours, but it's not work. It's what we do. It's in our DNA.
Exactly.
It's just what we do.
Exactly. I had someone ask me, a friend of mine actually from BNI, they said, "Well, what time do you get off today?" And I said, "Get off? What's that?" I don't even know what that is anymore. When you're an entrepreneur, you're always on the clock.
That's right. That's right. Even if you're on the way home or get home, you're still, on the clock per
Yep.
se, on the
Yep.
clock. So speaking of that, entrepreneurship. There are a lot of people that, they're doing their little side hustle, and they would love to be able to just step out like you did in the
Yep.
midst of everything that's going on and start a business. So what would you say to someone who might be thinking about starting a business? What kind of advice would you give to them?
I would say first step, find your lane, right? Find what you're good
Mm,
at, find what you're passionate about. Goes back to that, not just your skill set, but what you're also passionate about. Because when you compare those two together, that's when you'll be successful. And then when you find what that thing is or things, do your research, right? See what all it involves. Because a lot of times you could look at something surface level and you're like, oh, that would be easy. It may be a lot more involved than you think. So you want to make sure when you're starting a business that you don't just start off haphazardly. I think maybe I want to assume. I don't want to assume, but I'll assume. Most entrepreneurs, we probably all have kind of started off like that, kind of just
yeah,
haphazardly just jumped into something without really truly being educated in what we were jumping into. And then you realize you kind of have to roll it back a little bit and you're like, "Oh, wait a
right,
minute. I might
right,
need this from the Secretary of State and I might need this and I need insurance and things like that." So I say
right.
do your research up front. And then I say tap on someone else that's an entrepreneur. You can always learn, even if it's not going to be in your field, learn what some of their struggles were in the beginning, lessons learned, so that you don't have to follow that same, those same mistakes. Have a plan. Have a plan. Um, that's something we also do too. Not trying to plug that, but we do business plans.
Absolutely.
We help startups, if they need anything from, hey, I don't know what I need from the Secretary of State, or I don't know what I need to do to get my business license or my EIN number. It could be anything. We help with those things too. And then, even a business plan. If it's something that you're like, hey, I've got some folks that want to invest, but they said they need to see a plan. We can help you put together a professional business plan too. So first step, find what your passion and skills can marry up to. And then second, research. Third, plan. And fourth, sit down with people who have been, business owners for a while, who've been working for themselves for a while, that can share some wisdom with you. Hey, don't make this mistake. This is what I did my first year and it cost me, or whatever the case is. Buy them a cup of coffee. Most of us are willing to sit down with someone else who's trying to work for themselves and share what we've learned. I know I'm always willing to. So all you have to do is ask.
All right. So Vanessa, as we wrap up this conversation, is there anything that you would like to share, to inspire, to say to my listeners for Reset to Reinvent that maybe we haven't touched on at this point?
I think I would just reiterate, and it's all in the name of your podcast, right? But it's never too late to reset. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. It's never too young. You don't have to wait until you're 40 or 50 to decide you want to be a business owner. If you're passionate about it at 18 when you graduate high school, go for it. Yeah. Go for it. Be passionate about it. Go all in, but know that it's a lot of work. It's not easy. You're going to have some hard days. You're going to cry some days. You're going to wonder if you made the wrong choice. I've many times wondered, was this a mistake? Yeah. But deep down, you'll know. You'll know if you're on the right path. And when you know that, you'll just keep pushing and things do get better. I promise.
Oh, awesome. So how can people get in contact with Vanessa and Talent Connect?
Yes. So they can reach us on our website, talentconnectga.net, or email us at hire@talentconnectga.net. Or give us a call at our phone number, 762-394-4727.
Okay, give us that phone number again.
That's, now you made me forget, 762-394-4727.
And tell us about your social media. You're on social media, right?
Yes, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Talent Connect GA.
Talent Connect GA. That's simple, right across the board. That is awesome. Vanessa, I want to thank you so much for helping me wrap up the month of March, Women's History Month. You have been a delight. Your story of perseverance and this weightlifting thing is the powerlifting. I mean, that is just really, really cool. So you said May
16th.
May 16th.
You want to come out?
I'm going to check my calendar and see where I'm going to be. And I definitely would love to be a part of that experience. Yes.
I appreciate you having me on so much. I feel honored.
Oh, you are so welcome, Vanessa. Thank you so much. And I want to thank my wonderful listeners and viewers of Reset to Reinvent podcast. You all have yourself a wonderful day, a wonderful week. And let me tell you, the month of April is Second Chance Month. It is designated as Second Chance Month. And oh boy, we've got some exciting guests and exciting topics scheduled for the month of April, Second Chance. And just like I think, Vanessa, you mentioned earlier, everybody deserves a second chance. And when you think about reset and reinventing yourself, that's about second chances and third chances and, on and on and on, because there's a reason for everything that happens to us. We may not understand it when we're going through, but there is a reason, and God is the only one that knows, and He's going to work everything out.
Amen.
He always does. He always does. So once again, Vanessa, thanks so much. And hey, you guys, you know what? You deserve to be inspired. Peace.
Today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast is brought to you by the Adams Group Agency, developing final experience